going on, Jerome's beautiful Saturday. Birds are chirping and stuff, and it's time for another Vikings news dump. So Pro Bowl going down this weekend. Who cares? That's it, man. But 7 Vikings making the Pro Bowl. Here they are, team photo. Plus, I love that all the players get to have their own number, even if there is duplicates. Byron Murphy Jr., Murph wearing 7 along with Bijan, 7 and 7. It's kind of nice. I love when college programs have to double up on numbers. It's kind of funny, man. But Murph, Justin friggin' Jefferson, you got Slinging Sammy Darnold, a.k.a. Orlando's quarterback, as well as Grenard, DePaula. Oh, I love that DePaula and Andrew Van Ginkel are next to each other. 42-43 respectively. That's right. Grenard JG and also Brian, the real deal O'Neal, making the Pro Bowl. It's great. I mean, this is all well and good, and the flag football game will be something, right? But the Pro Bowl used to be such a vibe, man. And people, they used to try. Like way back in the day. Now, was it fully on, all out, just trying to like bite kneecaps and stuff? No, absolutely not. You got respect for your fellow professionals. But the fact that Sean Taylor, rest in power, laying out a punter, Brian Moorman, like that's the highlight. Come on. Yeah, but back in the day. I love it. I love that they had the NFC, AFC uniforms. They're wearing their own helmets and stuff. And it was great. It was good. Plus, it used to be Hawaii. Like Hawaii used to be an absolute reward. Like I don't understand it. It's a multi-billion, borderline trillion-dollar industry, and we're sending dudes to Orlando. We can't spring for Hawaii. Come on, man. Come on. Also, I get that most all-star games are farces. Whether it's the only real good all-star game is baseball, except baseball kind of stinks. But yeah, football. NBA is an absolute joke, but yeah, what was great is that they used to have the Pro Bowl games, and also they used to have third place games, like the consolation bracket, and it would be known as a toilet bowl. But what it would be is that the proceeds would benefit the Retired Players Association, but I don't know if they'll do that anymore. Who knows, man? But I mean, as a kid, like I wanted a John Randall Pro Bowl jersey so bad. They're hard to find. Might have to make one. Also hard to find is a safety like Harrison Smith. Now, I understand that he has lost a step. I understand that he's not the player that he was in 2017. Doesn't mean that he doesn't have a role and he's not a top 15 to 20 safety in the National Football League. Brian Flores really leans on him as a communicator out there. He's great. He's the man in the box, and Flores is smart about things. So Donashell in 2022 basically took Harrison out of the box. Like he wasn't blitzing, he wasn't getting after things, he was playing coverage. Did have a career high 5 interceptions, which is great, but was misusing him, right? Because with Zimmer, bless him, Harrison Smith was basically an extra linebacker up at the line of scrimmage, blitzing, causing havoc, and that's what he is still good at, and that's what he can still do at this advanced age. Long story longer, Harrison, 35, deciding if he's going to come back for another season. J.J. McCarthy, he wants him back. So on the gram, McCarthy posted the video of Harrison talking to KSTP about his future, and with the hashtag 1 more year to 2. So we know where J.J. McCarthy lies on that, and I'd be for it, man. Like Harrison is such a team player, and he's very cognizant about the market, and I think that he loves it here with the Vikings in Minnesota, and he's taken a pay cut each of the last 3 years on his mega extension, so I think that he could do it again. I think, he does need a new contract, because if he's on the roster on the third day of the new league year, he's guaranteed $25 million next year, which probably ain't going to happen. But I think that Flores returning definitely leans in the favor of Harrison coming back. Also, the fact that Harrison ended the season, relatively healthy, versus last year where he had a shoulder issue. I think that definitely weighs in the favor of coming back for one more year, one last ride. Just like maybe he's pissed off because the Vikings had a shot at a ring, not so much. Notre Dame. But absolutely would love to have him back for one more year. Someone who probably won't be back for one more year, Slinging Sam Darnold, a.k.a. America's quarterback, Will Raggets. A very Sam Darnold quote on his future, courtesy of Sirius XM NFL Radio. Quote, I put a little bit of thought into it. Cool. I'm not going to share anything about what I've been thinking or obviously the conversations I've had behind closed doors, but there's obviously a lot that's going to happen. That's got to happen still even after the Super Bowl. So just going to continue to talk to my agent and figure things out from there. End quote. Now, the thing about Darnold is that he's never had the huge payday, right? The 1 year, $10 million deal from the Vikings is his largest, single season base salary, even though he was a top 3 pick. I mean, yeah, that's still a nice rookie deal, but that's still a rookie deal. So Darnold's going to get paid. Probably not here. I would say that the Vikings and Kwesi are going to do exactly what they did with Kirk Cousins last year. Here's what we can offer you. There's no negotiation. Take it or leave it. If we can get more elsewhere, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. So I think that Darnold, the fact that he hasn't gotten paid, like this isn't really a Daniel Jones situation. Jones, just because of the diminishing utility of every dollar. I mean, the fact that Jones already got paid, I think that he could potentially take a little bit less to be here in Minnesota. Whereas Darnold, you don't know when you're going to have this opportunity again. So yeah, I respect him trying to get every single dollar. This is family tree, generational changing money. So go out and get it, man. And it's probably going to be like the Raiders if they don't get Russ, or the Titans since they probably don't want to take a quarterback at 1. So yeah, go get paid, young man. There you go. Speaking of which, Dan Graziano, ESPN Purple Persuasion. More from Dan Graziano on Vikings quarterback Sam Darnold. Quote, my anticipation on Darnold is that he will probably have a free agent market that prices himself out of what Minnesota wants to do. I'll be surprised if he's back on the Vikings. Yeah, or I think the Vikings would take him back like $25 million a year, except that's going to be way too low, right? I think the Vikings are intentionally having a low offer, if there even is an offer on the table, just to say, yeah, we tried. We wouldn't mind having him back at a certain price point, but that price point is not $40 to $50 million per year, which he still could get in free agency. That's where we're at. Speaking of which, Grant Udinski, who knew that on a staff with Brian Flores and Wes Phillips, son of Wade Phillips, grandson of Bum Phillips, and Josh McCown, that Grant Udinski will be getting all the love and attention. So he's had his 5th offensive coordinator interview. Just wrapped up with the Jaguars. We'll see what happens with Liam Cohen. Duval. But Udinski, the assistant OC and assistant quarterbacks coach, has been in high demand. The 28-year-old former defensive lineman from, where did he play? Doesn't matter. But Seahawks eventually went to Kubiak, their OC position, with Mike McDonald. Buccaneers went to Josh Grizzard, which is such a great name, isn't it? Come on. The Patriots went ultimately with Josh McDaniels. Now the Texans and the Jaguars have interest in Udinski. Is he going to leave? Who knows? The Vikings cannot block a move like this, even though in Jacksonville, with Liam Cohen there, he probably won't be calling plays, but it's still an offensive coordinator position, so the Vikings cannot block it because all the assistants are in one pool, and then you have coordinators, whether they're play callers or not. The title means that the teams can't block them, and then any coach up to head coach can't be blocked. So we'll see what happens with it. It'd be weird that the one coach that leaves after the Vikings' great season would be just a low-level assistant. But that's how much people want to get in the Kevin O'Connell offensive mind, get in on that Kevin O'Connell tree, and we'll see what happens. Also, we'll see what happens. Lions are getting gutted. All right, so such a brain drain in Detroit. 30-13. 7 Lions assistant coaches left Detroit this offseason. Johnson Glenn got head coaching jobs. Terrell Williams is the new DC with the Patriots, working with his guy Mike Vrabel again. Steve Hyden, our guy, the pride of rush for Minnesota, is now the Jets offensive line coach with Aaron Glenn. Tanner Engstreng went from the Lions passing game coordinator to Jets play calling OC. That's a huge hire for Aaron Glenn, since Engstreng's going to be that guy, allegedly working with Aaron Rodgers, and maybe Garrett Wilson if he's not traded. And then a couple of assistants went with Ben Johnson to Chicago. Antoine Randall, I love him. You're the pride of Indiana. Let's go. As well as JT Barrett, former Buckeyes quarterback, is the new quarterbacks coach with Ben Johnson. So I love that the brain drain is going down in Detroit. And, hey, Dan Campbell can say you want to bite the kneecaps and all that stuff. It's really tough to replace really good coaches. And that's what they're going to have to do. I don't think that they're going to do it. Super Bowl coming up next week. So I like that we're back to funny Super Bowl commercials, but something that really chaps my ass is when they play Super Bowl commercials like weeks ahead of time, right? Because it used to be, going back to us being a proper country, that they would play the Super Bowl commercials during the Super Bowl, and everyone would watch it together, and we'd have a shared experience. But now, everyone knows what commercials are coming. They know what order they're coming into, and it's annoying. Like if you're at a Super Bowl party, the monster.com. Is that even a thing anymore? Or the what's it? Trade software with a baby. Yeah. The commercial's really good this year. Oh, Bud Light is back to being funny again. They're uncanceled. Blah 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 blah. Like the commercial's gonna be funny, I'm sure. Right? Doritos is always pretty good. Ooh, our guys over at Unreal have another Super Bowl ad, Happy Gilmore style. It's gonna be with Mike McGowan. It's gonna be great, right? But I don't know, like everyone's seen the Super Bowl commercials like weeks in advance on YouTube, but is what it is. Also is what it is. So there's always a problem, right? We always advocate scouting the player, not the helmet, but people get carried away with things where it's like, oh, when's the last time a USC quarterback worked out? Or when's the last time an Ohio State quarterback worked out? Blah, 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 blah. It doesn't matter. Like, maybe there is a little bit of credence in terms of if there's been a long-established coach and a system, and sometimes the system doesn't translate, but individual players, you have to have them on their own merits, right? And long story longer, Jim Nagy, Senior Bowl, breaking LSU's Miles Frazier was named the top offensive lineman on American squad in vote from D-line linebacker position groups at Practice Player of the Week award ceremony today at the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl. Now, Miles Frazier is going to be a dude, man. He's going to be a really solid guard, going to be in the mid-rounds somewhere, the pride of LSU. Now, the problem is so many Vikings fans are completely against an interior offensive lineman from LSU because of Ed Ingram. And yes, he wore the same number, which is kind of funny, right? But yeah, Ed Ingram, second-round pick, highly drafted offensive lineman, did not work out. But scout the player, not the helmet. Miles Frazier should not be docked because Ed Ingram hasn't worked out. Completely different player who stands on his own merits. So we'll see what happens. Like I would not mind at all if Frazier's in the mid-round mix for the Vikings. I think that he's going to be a stud in this league, but I guess we'll see. Just like too many nightmares people have. It's happened, man. Oh, speaking of nightmares. So I love that NFL officiating has sort of become a meme at this point, but Troy Aikman, he correctly pointed out that gamblers depend on reliable NFL officiating because there's nothing worse. Like if you bet a money line, so you're betting one team to win, and all of a sudden they get screwed out of a call, or prop bets and player is marked short, or a long play is wiped out because of a penalty or non-penalty or whatever. It's really frustrating. But at a certain point, it becomes absurd where it's an open joke now that the officials get it wrong. Oh, the officials favor the Lions and the Chiefs and all this and blah 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 blah. And at a certain point, it's funny, but also at a certain point, it gets really serious because there is legitimate ramifications in this spot. Where, if we're probably not to this point yet, but remember NBA and Tim Donaghy. Now, the NBA is a lot easier to control with officials because you only have two officials, 2 or 3 officials, as opposed to a whole crew. It's a lot of people that have to shut up, as well as getting a couple early fouls on a star player. It's really easy to sort of slide things one way. NFL, a little bit tougher, right? But any specter or any hint of malfeasance ruins the integrity of the game for a lot of people, right? And especially people who would wager a jelly bean or two. And with the NFL and actually all sports leagues just getting into bed with all these sports books, like it's just a matter of time until you have a monster scandal, especially since like prop bets are so prevalent now. It's like the player on the Hornets, is in hot water now about potentially sort of dogging it so that certain props go their way. It would be very easy. And the fact that officiating now gets to lean in, it's almost like a joke where during the season, like you see that 91% of the bets are on one side, and then all of a sudden Las Vegas is just like, hey, how about that other side wins? It's sort of like the Lions and the Commies. Like 90+% of the tickets and the money were on the Lions to win and cover. And then all of a sudden, oh, what happened? Oh, what happened? Oh, the Commies win and they, obviously the Lions do not cover. So, I don't know. Like, you want it. It doesn't bother me as much as it bothers other people. But there's too much smoke. You know? So just get it fixed. Get consistency. And frankly, you should get full-time officials. Right? I don't like these stories of like, oh, well, this guy is a practicing torts attorney. I don't care. Get it right on Sundays. So, who knows? Lastly, Minnesota Fighting Vikings are going to hoist a dozen Jerome Lombardies in the next 10 years, but should the trophy change their name? Ari Mariev. Bill Belichick thinks the NFL should rename the Lombardi Trophy after Tom Brady, since players are the reason you win. Maybe you should name it the Brady Trophy. He won 7 of them. He said that on the Jim Gray podcast. Also, I love that Brady and Belichick have kissed and made up. Like, they're cool now. Years ago, they're like, everyone hates everyone. They're like, now we're good. I mean, I feel like the roast went a long way to just like soothe some ruffled feathers, but we all know what it's called, right? Whether they call it the Lombardi or the Brady or the whatever, it's Jerome Lombardi. And the Vikings are going to indeed hoist 12 in the next 10 years. That's what we're going to do, baby. But that's it. Vikings news dump for this beautiful Saturday. You guys are the best here to do. Skull production value.